Welcome to the Esoerotic Dark Feminine Magic Podcast. My name is Crimson, creatrix of Esoeroticism, and I help mystically minded folks awaken their dark feminine magic. Welcome to the Portal of Enchantment. Welcome, Tara Valkyrie, to the Esoerotic Dark Feminine Magic Podcast. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fabulous. And I'm super excited to talk to you today. So, we're not doing like the full August forecast like we usually do. We are actually going to focus on eclipse season,
Yay!
baby.
Because it's here, whether we like it or not.
Yeah. And I think it's fun to kind of have a narrower focus because that is kind of the most potent thing happening this month anyway.
Yes. Yes.
So, do we want to start? We went more into depth with it last week, last month, excuse me, in the July forecast about the nodal shifts. So maybe we just, because that really informs the eclipses, maybe we start like, because people are like, wait, what are you talking about?
Right.
What's happening?
Yeah, like quick recap. So, a little bit of science, you guys, because y'all know me. I love astrology and science. So the lunar nodes are just where the moon's orbit crosses the Earth's path around the sun. That's how we get it. It's part of living on Earth. And then like the north node is where it crosses at the north orientation from where we are, and south node is where it crosses at the south node. So pretty easy peasy. Last month, we had the nodes officially shift from Pisces and Virgo into Aquarius and Leo. I always try to say the North Node first because that's where we're going collectively.
Yeah, so we always have a North Node and a South Node calculation placement happening. You have it in your natal chart when you were
Correct.
born. And then there's also a collective, and they take about 18 months. And it's really, if you follow the nodal shifts every 18 months, you see the collective moves through a whole new story. What are we releasing? What are we moving towards? The last 18 months, as we said in the last forecast, have been really around understanding self-worth, following intuition, Pisces, Virgo, values, doing things maybe a little illogically. And now, as of the end of July, we'll say that those lessons, we're always learning them, but the universe is like, got new lessons for you for the next 18 months.
New lesson drop. Unbox with me.
I love it. The new lessons have dropped, and the universe is like, North Node, you're headed towards collectively. You need to learn lessons around Aquarius, which is.
Yes, so Aquarius, that's fixed air energy. It represents the collective, the greater good. The bird's eye. Aquarius is about zooming out. It's ruled by Saturn and Uranus, so it's both what is and then what could be. It's a really dynamic energy because it's looking at what exists, but then with the Uranus energy, it's like what is possible. What have we not tried? What sounds crazy, but is like the most brilliant thing we could do?
I love it. Very innovative, very future oriented, very unconventional, and like you said, very collective oriented, as opposed to the South Node. The universe is like, you need to release these shadow traits
Right.
around Leo at the same time. They work together. So what would the shadow traits around Leo be that we're being called to release?
Okay, so shadow traits with Leo, and don't worry, we're gonna hype the South Node in a minute. So don't like if you're Leo, don't be like they're gonna pick on me. One, I pick on everybody. But South Node Leo, so we're releasing more of like the celebrity worship. We're releasing ego driven behaviors, ego driven, definitions of success, of fame, of power. we are releasing the insecurity around, okay, well, other people are getting attention, then what about me? We're, the elevated side of Leo, like, it's ruled by the fucking sun. There's enough light for everybody. And that's
Yeah.
the cool thing. It's like what we're doing is, it's like we're taking the elevated energy of the south node and carrying it with us on our north node journey. That's what makes it so cool how they work
And
together.
yeah, so don't think like all Leo's bad right now.
Oh yeah.
No, it's just like, and if you're like, oh, I've reconciled that within myself, you're peachy, you know?
Right.
A lot of, I feel like, that we talk about with the dark feminine is this idea of performance
Mm-hmm.
versus authentic expression. And I do believe like the more in this time, the more authentically you can express, the less lessons that you need to learn around letting go of being performative.
Yes, and I love that. And one thing that I want to be clear about is, I think one of the tenets of the dark feminine is we are taking the elevated aspects of every type of energy. We're willing to go through the shadows with them. And as we've said before, the shadow isn't bad. It's just the other side to, as above, so below. The shadow becomes a problem when we refuse to address it. The shadow becomes a problem when we're blaming other people for whatever it is that's freaking us out about the shadow. So it's this really, really potent. If you're doing work within the dark feminine and you're owning where you are, even if you are owning, like, yeah, I got some ego-based stuff. Congratulations, you're human. But you're owning it. You're like, that's mine. That's mine to sort through, to deal with, you know.
Yeah,
So
it feels like we're at a time when we are really being called to address this. And so,
yeah.
and it feels like maybe this first eclipse is going to be the first activation of these nodal shifts, would you say?
Yes, this one. So we had we had an eclipse back in February, the Lunar New Year. We had the solar eclipse in Aquarius. So that was our official first one. And for my numbers people, we typically have 6 eclipses in a series. So we had that one in February. Now, this is going to be the second one. So it's a solar eclipse, new moon. Solar eclipses always happen at the new moon because the new moon's hanging out wherever the sun is. In Leo at 20 degrees on August 12th. Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, let's start with that one. So
Yeah.
August 12th, we got a south node solar
South node
eclipse. So maybe we kind of share what that is.
Yeah. So south node eclipses, I'm always going to preface this. We all have free will. You do you. I know there's a lot of information out there, but like, don't do any XYZ on the eclipse. Trust yourself. Now, I woke up this morning and I at my established social media time, of course, the first thing that pops up was some person being like, don't do this. I'm like, Lord Almighty. What I want to be clear about with a south node eclipse, that is a potent release. I have found that the energy is about you are releasing something so you can begin anew. I know typically on new moons, that's Genesis. We are planting seeds. We are beginning things. If you are feeling called to do that, go for it. What I find, the gift in the eclipse is kind of like the gift in retrogrades. The gift of the eclipse is there's information that comes up that we could not find any other way except through presence with ourselves. And the south node eclipse in Leo, with it being fixed signs. So the other thing I'll say just about this overall series that we may feel with this eclipse, with Aquarius and Leo nodes, they are fixed signs, which means they are phenomenal at sustainment. They are the energy that, the cardinal energy initiates. The fixed signs, they're going to carry something through. That's the elevated side. They're going to see it through. They have endurance. Insert sex joke here.
Long and strong and down to get the friction on.
Yeah. The shadow side, the thing we have to be aware of with fixed signs, and if you've got a lot of fixed energy in your charts, you're like, oh, I know what's coming. Fixed sign, they don't want to change. They like the way they're doing stuff. They don't want to change. So what may come up for us at this time is just realizations of what is no longer sustainable as we have been maintaining it. Now, the power in the fixed signs is once the fixed energy decides it is changing, there is no going back.
Okay.
Once it's like turning a freight train, dislodging a boulder. There is no putting the boulder back on the cliff. So where we are with this new is we are realizing there is something that cannot continue the way it is, and it's time to let that move out to make space for something new. And it could be something that maybe is it feels chaotic or it feels stressful, but it's something that was no longer sustaining us, feeding us, nurturing us.
Feels very Ten of Swords, like,
Yeah.
put a fork in her. It's done,
Yeah. Yes. And so examples, we're experiencing this energy collectively, of course, but it's in the sign of Leo. And Leo represents, it's on the axis with Aquarius. Leo is self, Leo is me, Aquarius is other, Aquarius is we. So me versus we. You need to authentically be in your truth in order to be part of the elevated greater collective. And that's what we're learning is it's not the individual fighting the collective. It's recognizing that we have to be in our truth, in our power. Leo rules the heart. It is that raw, creative force energy. It is unfiltered esoeroticism. It is just that whatever it is you are yearning to create. I know traditional astrology is like babies. It's definitely like kids you create in your body, but it's also anything that you are nurturing, you are tending to, you see it as an aspect of your legacy, whatever it is that you are creating. And what this moon is reminding us of is that we all have these very unique, very authentic, very powerful things that we're here to create. And the collective needs that.
Yeah. And I think that that was really helpful to say, like, if people are like, I don't understand a fixed sign, I don't understand how eclipses work, I don't understand south node, north, it doesn't matter, y'all. Right. Tara and I throw that in for the astro nerds. If all of that's just like, what? Don't worry about it. You don't need that information. What the information you need to know is that we are in a time where we're having a new moon, and usually new moons are new beginnings, but because it's an eclipse, and because it's this type of south node eclipse, it's kind of like a new beginning that comes from an ending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And okay, so I've been thinking about this. This is connected to the last solar eclipse in Leo, which was in August of 2017, right?
Yeah.
And so that was a north node eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
I've been nerding out over it because I will never forget that day. First of all, it was the day that Trump looked straight at the eclipse in the sky. So speaking of not looking at it, there are some things you shouldn't do during an eclipse, and it is look probably directly at it, but whatever, he's brain dead. But I think it's really interesting. That was the day that I had just gotten the keys to the studio in Austin, and I had done a lot of ritual that day. I'll never forget that day. It was like just a really special day for me because it was really the beginning of Esoeroticism. It was the beginning of all of this. You and I had just met, all of this. And so think back to August of 2017. What were you maybe beginning in terms of a personal identity shift? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And now here we are like 9 years later. And what has culminated in that self-identity?
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not good. Like, is my whole career gonna crumble? Like the thing that I started is gonna die. No, you're probably coming into a new identity within that.
Yeah.
like your old identity. Okay, it's been 9 years. Like
Yeah.
you've grown, you've become
Mhm.
something. What you originally claimed 9 years ago, you're probably claiming a new version of that.
Yeah.
You've kind
Hopefully
of
so.
surpassed. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least you've
Yeah.
grown.
Yes, yes. And I love that you were nerding out about that because I was thinking about that too because it was so significant for the both of us. Um, and that was like right before, and also for, it was right before Hurricane Harvey for my Houston homies, which we all remember how that was if you were there. But it was this big, that was a time where I know like you and I were just embarking on a completely new ventures. We had both come through some endings and then we were starting. I was also nerding out because I went to look at the last time we had Aquarius in the North Node and Leo, which if you go back 18 years, that was, around 2007 to 2009, which we had big social upheaval then. We had the housing market crash. We had the bank bailouts. Now we have some stuff to learn, which we're going to revisit with the North Node and Aquarius again, around how the governments have been favoring big corporations.
No.
Yeah, you may not have heard they're still doing that, and it's a little bit of a problem. We're going to address it.
Like the day after I had just heard about Elon Musk's rocket
Oh
going
my
into the
God.
moon or something like that. And I'm like,
Yes.
all right, we've jumped the shark. Like billionaires are just like sending shit into space to crash into the moon and
Right.
the planetary objects. I think that I think that we have identities to definitely look at and
Yeah.
reconcile right now.
Right. I'm like, no wonder the moon is inching away from us a little bit every year. She's just like, I'm done. These are the worst neighbors. But yeah, so I love what you were saying though about just the recognizing the growth over the last 9 years. And that is something I think it's interesting to me because I know that for a lot of us, what's more common now is this understanding that we are growing and changing dynamic beings. Whereas I feel like in the past, I know like you and I have talked about this, previous generations, it's like you worked for the same company, you did the same thing, and then it got to be too much and you ran off with your admin and bought, a dorky sports car or something. And the reality is like what we recognize is that if we're doing this, in an embodied way, we are growing and changing, and we are shedding parts of ourselves that are no longer, it's not that they're bad. What we're shedding, and this has to do with collectively, it's not necessarily bad things. It's just like that worked for a while.
Yeah.
That's not me anymore. And so that's a big thing. You can look at, the August 12th new moon solar eclipse. Like I said, it's at 20 degrees Leo. So you can look, if you have your chart, you can look at 20 degrees of the fixed signs, especially. So Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio. Also, if you got fire sign energy, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, check that out too. This is, even if there is something that really surprising happens during the eclipse, after the dust settles, you'll be like, yeah, that was a part of me that wasn't really driving anymore anyway. And like what you said, Krim, I love what you said about like it's an ending that creates a powerful beginning.
Well, I learned from you, Tara. So, I'm glad that works for you. But yeah, it's like so much more empowering to think about that way. And like that's why we say these reports are through the lens of the dark feminine, because you could be fatalistic. You could be very like, oh my gosh, things are ending. Well, like, why are you pretending that you want to remain in something that doesn't work anymore anyway? Why would you want to remain stagnant? But this is your opportunity. And I would say my experience with Eclipse are you can intuitively move through it and be aligned with yourself and not have to maybe experience the quote unquote lessons. You can walk through or you can be drugged through, I guess is a better And so
You walk to the door or they'll drag you through the door. Yeah.
yeah, and just so think about in your life, Leo, your authentic expression,
Mhm.
your creative expression, your identity, who you are,
Mhm.
that's the topic that you want to consider.
Yes. Yes. What are you clinging to, either out of safety, validation, ego? Like, well, I'm known as this, so I have to continue to, blah, blah, blah. Also, just seeing like, who do you put on a pedestal that that maybe doesn't need to be there? Like, I was thinking about this morning. Like, who have you put over yourself that is blocking your light?
Ooh, who's
Uh,
blocking your
who's
sunshine?
blocking your sunshine?
I really like that. And it's funny because I just wrote a newsletter like
Mhm.
yesterday or 2 days ago, and I wasn't even thinking about this. And so just must have been in that intuitive flow, but of how, like, an example to give is I said, like, I'm no longer willing to be showing up as the mother. I feel like
Mhm.
I have very heavy mother energy, and I'm
Mhm.
always going to be very nurturing and like come in my bosom energy. But I recognize like my identity now at where I am in life is
Mhm.
not that anymore. And
Yeah.
so you may have been like, well, everyone expects this of me.
Right.
And or it could have been like, well, this is what brought me success,
Yes.
this this
That.
sense of self. However, universally what's happening now is like, yeah, you could continue to cling to that identity, but guess what? If you've evolved past it, it's
Mhm.
not going to work anymore.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the other thing is when we have the shifts in the notes, there's a drop in lessons, and there's a rewriting of the cosmic rules.
Ooh, what are
Yeah,
the cosmic rules being rewritten? Just saying that like what once worked doesn't work type of
pretty much.
situation?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. And we tend to feel that shift a bit more with that fixed sign energy. Because also too, another way to look at it in kind of everyday terms is fixed signs also deal with the everyday expectations, the everyday structures, the things that we kind of have like taken for granted of like, this is how like the sun's going to come up and this is how the day is going to go and this is how everything's going to work. When you go back through time and you can nerd out and go back every 9 years and see when the nodes flip flop on each other, like Chris was talking about the eclipse in 2017. You can go back every 18 years and see like, okay, when was the north node last in Aquarius? So you can keep going back and just see what big structures underwent change. Either the way we saw ourselves, the way we saw external entities, whether that's celebrities, whether that's authority structures, whether that's just systems that we move in. So that's a big theme on all of the levels. We're already feeling that energy. I mean, I know that the nodes didn't switch until like last week on the 27th, but like we're in the portal. We also have Lionsgate
Ah, we love
portal.
a good Lions game. We love a
Honorable
good Lions.
mention. That's on the 8th. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Lionsgate. Like, it is really cool, and it's just I think it's overdone on the internet.
You and I talk about it every year of like it's kind of a thing because we said it's a thing and like but there's lots of other portals but like we also just love a portal so like why not but also
Right.
like it's not like I missed it.
Yeah, right, right.
So
Like, it's a fun egregore. Like,
I think it's a fun egregore.
yeah, it's
Yes,
a fun one.
like
So like, don't freak out if you're like, oh man, I'm working all day, or like, don't freak out. But it's a fun one if you're like, yeah, okay, I'm here.
oh, yeah, let's use the energy. Enough people have collectively put the energy
Yeah.
towards it. There is that repetition of the numerology. There
Yeah.
is like that alignment with Sirius and all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah. And then maybe that's because, manifestation,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's when you manifest, maybe not on the solar eclipse.
Yeah, like what I love for especially this year with the Lionsgate, because yeah, the eclipse, that may be more of a time where you're just present.
Yeah.
You just let yourself be and see what comes up. Um, I think too, what we're also going to be exploring with the energy, Lionsgate, Eclipse, all of that is just a return to that trust in ourselves. And I mean this from a heart-centered space, not an ego center, but like return to our own celebrity.
Be your own celebrity.
Yeah, be
I
your own,
love
and like,
that.
yeah, no one start cults. Okay, that's not what we're talking about.
Oh,
But just a return to the other thing too that I see us releasing, and this may just be my algorithm, but and there's great. This is tied to Pluto in Aquarius as well. But as I said earlier, Leo deals with like literal children, creative energy. It also deals with like youth, feeling youthful. The shadow side of Leo is clinging to youth, clinging to the maiden energy. When you have moved past that, and I know we have been in a society where we cling, like we elevate and we overhype the maiden energy, we overhype youth, and what I see with these nodes, this nodal energy, not just this month, but over the next 18 months, is a return to like finding the elders and recognizing that aging is beautiful. It is a privilege not enough of us get. With this aging, we have experience. There is deeper beauty, and so we're also releasing a lot of kind of like the superficiality that has been really pervasive. And I think it's in the death throes because I don't want to get too dark on here, but like we've had a lot of really heavy things come up, recognizing around the abuse of youth, both the abuse of youth and then the kind of caricaturization of it, and the clinging to it instead of embracing wherever we authentically are in our lives.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back hag culture.
Yeah.
All hail the hag is where
Run
I'm
for
at
it.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very dark feminine. We talk about how the dark feminine is very much seeking to find, beauty and
Mm-hmm.
meaning and purpose beyond youth culture and youth-based beauty standards. And,
Yes.
obviously that's like it's a form of oppression, right? The feminine. Why would we want to recognize someone in like their greater queen or crone sovereignty? Why
Right.
would we want to encourage people to head towards that? That's a point of influence in the world. And so
Yes.
let's keep people in places, women in places of youth where they can be controlled, manipulated. Unfortunately, that's where the hags need to come in and say,
Yep.
"Fuck no, you're not doing that shit anymore."
Right.
But we need
Yeah.
visibility and we need to not play
Mhm.
into that. So that's amazing.
Yes.
Oh, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So that I'm looking forward to that because that's been a long time coming. I remember kind of sensing that energy, like I said, in 2007, 2009, when we had Aquarius and Leo in the North nodes then. But it was one of those, honestly, I think we needed to wait for, Gen X millennials to get a bit older. And here we are.
Ah.
But I remember even back then, there was already like, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not getting in line. And apparently, we have still not gotten in line.
Yeah, you know what? I think it was easier to get in line when there was affordable housing
that.
and like affordable vacations and
Mhm.
escapism even that was easily accessible. Now that you
Right.
get in line and you still can't fucking afford a house and
Yeah.
to go with your family on vacation or anything, afford groceries and shit, I think it's like, well, why would I wait in this line anyway?
Like, get in line in this economy? Like,
There you go. Who
I
can
gotta start my
afford it?
garden so I can afford to, I gotta go grow my own shit now.
Yeah, there's something really like obviously terrible about where we are, where
Mhm.
like we can't afford things and the economy's out of goddamn control. But it's very interesting to see how we're not willing to acquiesce as
Yes.
we would be if it's like, no, but if you get in line,
Hmm.
you can have stability.
Right.
Now it's like there's no fucking stability. Why am
No.
I doing things? Why would I do what you tell me? It's very hard to convey that to boomers. No
Yeah.
boomer hate, but it's like,
Hmm.
they don't realize that us getting in line and doing the quote unquote right thing doesn't yield the results that they reaped.
Right.
And so
Right. No, exactly. Exactly. And one of the catch-22s is like the boomers that are listening to this podcast, they're not the ones we're talking about because they get it. Like,
correct.
you know,
Correct.
but
We're not
yeah,
anti-boomer. We love
yeah,
the conscious boomers. Go talk to your
exactly.
friends.
Yeah. Well, please tell your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the other cool thing about, this eclipse season, and this is common, is, we've got this eclipse on the 12th, new moon solar eclipse, Leo. The next one on August 28th, this is a lunar eclipse in Virgo. So, nothing is, it's not like these things are separated. There's overlap. So this is the final eclipse for the Pisces Virgo.
It took me, I'm going to interrupt, so excuse me,
Yeah.
but it took me a long time to understand this.
Yeah.
Eclipse seasons, there's 2 to 3 eclipse seasons every year, and they
Mhm.
align with where the nodes are. So,
Yeah.
but they overlap a little bit. So as Tara said, wait, we had our first like Leo Aquarius eclipse back in February. We're having our last Virgo and Pisces eclipse in August. So
Mhm.
they do kind of on the edges
Yeah.
overlap each other. So you can just think about that. But all of
Mhm.
the eclipses align with the north node and south
Yeah.
node, and so you can think about, okay, so this is Leo season, so when will the next eclipse season be? Well, during Aquarius season.
Yeah.
So that's how you can kind of think about that. It's not like eclipses happen every 10 years. They happen,
Yeah, they happen every year. Like we always have eclipses going on. It's kind of like one thing I'm going to lovingly, just say like we're over blaming Mercury retrograde for things because like that happens every year. Eclipses happen every year.
And that's how really we're talking about this nodal shift. Really, the big things around the nodal shifts, like the big lessons happen during the eclipses, during those eclipse seasons. So hopefully that was something, because that took me a long time to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot to astrology. If you've taken class with me, you've heard me say, it's like learning a language.
Mhm.
And at first it's washing over you and it's overwhelming. And then like you start to like piece things together. So I love that you reiterated that because yeah, it's just, I know it can feel, especially right now, because we do have a very active cosmic weather system. So there's a lot going on all the time right now.
But
And
now you can, if you just say, okay, I pay attention for the next 18 months, we have the North Node and South Node in these signs, then you know when it's that season, that is, whether it is the North or South Node, oh, we got eclipses happening.
yeah, exactly. And the nodes, with that overlap, each set of nodes and eclipses build on the other. So we had been in Pisces Virgo the previous 18 months. That was very internal. Those are mutable signs. So they represent, deeper culminations, transformations, getting ready for new patterns, new things that we're calling in, but they were very internal. It was about trusting your intuition, releasing, Virgo South Node, releasing perfectionism, releasing criticism, whether it's your criticism or someone else's criticism. Because then when we got into Aquarius and Leo, that's recognizing the way we tend to ourselves affects our interactions with the outer world. Again, as within, so without. So now that we're in, we have this Leo solar eclipse. We're going to be releasing things. That 2-week period between the eclipses, because they always kind of come in pairs. We have a solar eclipse and then a lunar eclipse. So as I said, the solar eclipse is always new moon. Lunar eclipse is always full moon.
Yeah. And so you always know those are 2 weeks apart. So
Mhm.
Should we go into, so we know we have this solar eclipse, so
Yep.
obviously we have a lunar eclipse 2 weeks
Yes.
later, but this, as you said, is actually not is it's going to be Pisces.
It's going to be, yeah, so we're going to be fresh into, I think I said lunar eclipse in Virgo. I apologize. I meant lunar eclipse in Pisces.
During Pisces seasons. That's all right.
Yes, because we'll be in Virgo season. Because
Yeah.
lunar eclipse is like full moons, the sun and the moon are in opposite signs. So
And that's like the end of August, so that'll be the other
the
eclipse.
28th, yeah. So August 28th, we will be 2 degrees into 2 days, 2 degrees into Virgo season. So we'll have the full moon in Pisces at 2 degrees. So what's interesting, when you look at Leo and Pisces just as energies, they may not seem very similar, but actually, because Leo is fixed fire, Pisces is mutable water. You can get online and read all the stereotypes about both. But what it comes down to is both Leo and Pisces are heart led.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
They're heart, and they are fiercely loyal. You ever want to see either one of them cut somebody, go hurt their best friend. Watch what happens.
There's a Pisces. That's how she knows she's killing
Yeah. Yeah. So what I think is really powerful is there's these seemingly different energies, but they're working within they're connected to each other. Now, Leo traditionally is more kind of outward directed, whereas Pisces is more internal. But what this is about is, we're having this release, making way for the new beginning at the Leo new moon. Then at the Pisces lunar eclipses are often, they're full moons, just on all the party drugs. We're really hyped up. So just as like a new moon or a full moon, sorry, there's a natural polarity. There's often some kind of, emotional intensity coming up. With a lunar eclipse, that's amped up even more. So it's often more of an internal realization about something. And with it being in Pisces, we may be in our feels over it. So I feel like Leo and Pisces may handle their feelings differently. Leo's like, I'm going clubbing. I'm looking hot. I'm going to get all the selfies. No one's going to know that I'm doing this because I'm having a really bad time. I'm like, everyone know I'm a badass. Whereas Pisces is like, I'm going to put on some Enya and I'm going to cry.
Grab your rain stick.
My rain stick. And I'm going to make art with my tears. So, but like what they're working together on is, with the lunar eclipse, that is a deeper aspect of release that began 2 weeks prior.
Is it also a south moon eclipse?
Yes.
South node eclipse, excuse me.
Well, okay, so technically it's the old north node.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Because the solar eclipse is the south node, the lunar eclipse is the north node this time.
Okay. So what does that look like? Because, we know that full moons are kind of like culmination.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a north. So maybe that's like, you know what? Tell me if I'm totally making this shit up, but like, this is what this feels like to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a culmination. And since it's a north node, new beginnings, it's kind of like, let's seal it up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's tie a ribbon on it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, let's put it out to sea, and we have culminated that lesson almost.
Yes, that's a great way of looking at it. It is wrapping up those Pisces Virgo nodal lessons and it's kind of like almost like this final exam of like, let's review what you learned over the last 18 months about trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, trusting your path when it does. That's a classic Pisces thing. Trust your path, even if it makes sense to no one else.
Well, you taught us last month that Neptunian, and we know that Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces, but that it's like knowing without logic, you said?
Truth without logic. Yeah.
Truth without logic. Yeah, so that feels very, very like something to keep in mind.
Yes. And that's the thing, is that it's harnessing the inner knowing that Pisces has with the confidence that Leo has.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like
and
that.
the action, because the shadow side of Pisces will have brilliant ideas, but then they'll kind of get lost in the ideas. Whereas the Leo fire energy is like, let's pull that into reality. Like,
Let's create. I always
let's
think of
make a
Leo.
baby.
Yes, bomb chicka wow wow. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Leo loves is creative. It's creative
Yes.
life force.
Yeah, and Leo wants to put it out there in the physical realm. It wants to get it there. And so with these two, it's really gonna, at the individual level, like I just said, it's really hyping up those lessons around trusting ourselves, because once we wrap that up, it's kind of like, and we're given this little kit to carry with us, because then when we go, we exit eclipse season, we go into the fall. Collectively, it's what we're kind of being reminded of is you need to trust yourself, because there's going to be some really weird shit. We're getting, as we get close to November with voting, as we get into the holiday season, there's the typical like marketing crap that they're going to throw at us. There's just, to put it succinctly, there's going to be a lot of weird shit that comes through, and we have to be able to discern.
Ooh, very much of like, okay, like, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to feel familiar.
No,
And
not
we
at all.
always like to default to familiar is safe. Do what's familiar. Yeah, I feel like this is going to be my next ramble podcast, but this idea of how could see during this time and people saying there's too much unfamiliarity,
Yeah.
instead of staying in my dark feminine, being very comfortable in the void of the unknown,
Mm-hmm.
choose confusing familiar with safe and going into probably very disempowering spaces where they're handing their power back to systems that really just are at this point kind of obviously oppressive and
Yeah.
problematic, but saying, well, at least I know what that system is. And not,
Yes.
and so this is where dark feminine, y'all, can you, what Tara said, can you trust that Piscean
Mm-hmm.
truth without knowing? Can you trust that in yourself?
Yeah. And that is going to be so, so important, because you summed it up perfectly about when it starts to get weird, we're going to be offered things that look safe, look good.
Don't get chipped, y'all. Don't.
Yeah, don't get chipped. But it's going to be the shittier version of what we used to know as security. It's like the remodeled Motel 6. You always know it was a Motel 6. Like, it's never going to be the Hyatt, okay?
Oh my goodness. This
Yeah.
is such good. I love you sharing this. It's so
Yeah.
helpful because if you know it's coming, you
Yes.
know to prepare.
And the thing is, too, what's so powerful is, especially with, I'm going to tell a secret on Leos now. Leos front as always confident, and I'm going to 99% of the time they are. The other 1%, you're never going to know, because they're just like, I'm not going to tell anyone I don't know what I'm doing. But that's the thing, is that combined with the Pisces energy, whatever path you're on, it is going to feel unfamiliar to you. It is going to, a lot of times, if you speak to it, speak about it out loud, either you may catch yourself trying to like shut it down, or you may have people that mean well. They're like, that sounds insane. And the reality is it's trusting the insanity.
It is. And I'm thinking, so speaking of boomers, and the boomers that I love, I am going to visit my family next week in Jersey. And
Yeah.
I'm like, very much bracing for this. Like, how do I explain to them? Like, no, like, I have no proof of concept and this is illogical, but this is what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
that just, I know and I feel and I trust and my intuition and my chart and all of this, that they don't buy into any of that, says that I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to be okay. And like, this is the direction I need to head in, not them, them
Mm-hmm.
not understanding what we're talking about and saying, but like, no, you have to do things this way for security. It's
Yeah.
very interesting that like that's kind of, it's like you have the internal pushback, but
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have the pushback from also people who have not recognized that we are like new paradigm timing and really
Yeah.
believing, trusting old systems, believing old ways of doing things were what was once certain, not recognizing that's no longer certain, all of
Right.
that.
Yeah, and the reality is there's a lot of things that are being pushed at us as safety that have not been certain. I think for as long as you and I have been in our working careers, they have not been certain. And then I note the irony. A lot of people pushing these systems are in their 70s and 80s in positions of power, and they're pushing it because it's what they knew, what was certain for them, and it is a control mechanism now. And I think our generations, Gen X and younger, we have never experienced the stability that
Mhm.
they are promising.
Well, and here's the thing, and this is why if you ever like, are in the gym and Fox News is on and you're like, why is every commercial like fear-based? And
Yes.
it's I actually I did not read a book on this, okay? I listened to a YouTube on it. I'm going to be transparent, but it was like the marketing to different generations and it was fascinating. The way you market to that like that baby boomer generation is security. That's
Mhm.
whereas like I think like Gen Z, it's like identity. So it's really interesting to see how even we market to different generations.
Yep.
Um and some generations it's freedom, some generation it's self-identity and uniqueness, but for that generation it was safety, so they can't
Mhm.
understand why their millennial kid is
Mhm.
leaving like a conceivably very stable accounting job or whatever, because
Right.
to them safety is number one.
Yeah.
But I think I can't remember, but I believe for millennial it is something like freedom.
Yes. Yes. We were okay. I'm going to give y'all credit, Gen X, because y'all started the freelancing trend. I just think millennials we came of age right as the internet news got big. So I think we got the credit for being the freelancers, but y'all had started that.
Well,
Uh,
I'll share that in the last this what was it? You said the 2007,
yeah.
for the 18 years ago. If
Mhm.
you're old enough where you can go 18 years
Mhm.
back, I can. I lost my full-time job and I've been freelance pretty much ever since that. That's when I got introduced to freelance. So that's really interesting.
Yep.
And that really opened me to be able to be a solopreneur and eventually a
Yeah.
business owner and all of that. So yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
and that was, I remember like, wow, how can you just be a freelancer? It's like,
Right. And the other thing that was happening during that time, it was actually a few years before, but we were still in the fallout, was Enron.
oh, remember Enron?
Oh my God, you guys! I remember Enron. I was in college, and even being in college though, what struck me was realizing that like the C-suite got out with their millions, and the everyday person got screwed over.
Yeah.
And there was, and in my hometown, it was a suburb of Houston. It sounds like a really small town. It wasn't, but I remember there were several suicides
Wow.
of people who they had lost everything because they had been working for this company, and I realized that I didn't realize how much that affected me, and I think a lot of the elder millennial generation.
Yeah.
But we entered the workforce with a deep mistrust of it,
Yes.
and recognizing like I'm going to show up, I'm going to do my job well, but I'm going to set a boundary because and there were other companies. I know during the 2007 downturn, there were other companies that were coming out just being like, we can't pay everyone's pension, and so I know that, yeah, a lot of Gen X was getting laid off because several more reputable companies were at least trying to like, you know, triage the boomer retirement because they were older, but like all of us youngins were just like cast to the wind. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I am not surprised that they market to us as like freedom. Like
Yeah.
you can leave whenever you want. Like we're not married. Like
It's just so interesting. I like love like having these conversations
yes.
because I really think it makes the astrology really relatable and makes sense and say, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, like I see that's what we want for, you know, people to see how it affects the collective, how it affects you individually, how it's like this cyclical things and how there's empowerment within it. And it's not just life happening to you, it's
Yes.
like life happening for you because there's a greater, I don't want to say God's plans ahead of us because I don't believe in that, but like there is like an evolutionary path ahead of us that just feels like it's gotta happen next, you know?
Yes, yes, and that's the thing too is just like recognizing, and as I always say this every time, this is not positive vibes only, but
No.
it's recognizing, you know, we all have a choice. Like there's going to be things that happen outside of our control, um, you know, weather, disasters, whatever it may be, but how we respond to that. So, you know, and it's totally valid. You know, I remember you were talking about like when you lost your job. At first it was like, oh shit, like what am I gonna do? This is really scary. And then you eventually you made your way into freelance, and I remember you're like, I
Like
made way more money that way.
so much better. These things that happen, you know, we can think about happening for us. And I know that that's like, you know, Tara and I will say ad nauseum, we understand privilege and all of that. That's
Yes.
not what we're saying. We're not being insensitive.
Mhm.
But we're saying that, like, can you conceive of how, like, maybe you're being called into a new direction?
Yes. Yeah, and allowing yourself to be open to the other possibilities, allowing yourself to see the different layers. And you know, it's like I had a mentor when I was learning some of my embodied work about, you know, see what the emotion has to tell you, but don't live there.
I love that.
Yeah.
How is that information?
Yes. How is that information? And as we're going into through August into the fall, there's going to be more like realizations around technology, and you know, we're already there. Like we're dealing with flock cameras, we're dealing with AI, we're dealing with yeah, all the things.
It's just wild to me. You know
Mhm.
how I feel. Just
And
how
that's
are
very shadow Pluto and Aquarius, all this tech
yes.
monitoring us.
And we have this, you know, the Uranus and Gemini
Yeah.
type thing, which also feels very like weird technology type of stuff. And it's
Yes.
like how we like transfer information and things like that. And I'm just like, how
Mhm.
is this happening? How are these like town boards allowing these data centers, these flock
Mhm.
cameras, these things to just enter communities? Like it's to me mind blowing, but
Yeah.
it's
And
but now we see how it's happening. Like
well, in part of this nodal journey of Aquarius and Leo, I think what I saw happen during the last big election cycle, and why I think a lot of these things got a foothold, is you know, part of the external, you know, tactics have been to overwhelm us.
mhm. Yeah.
And it's really easy to say, well, I'm one person, my vote doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I go to the city council meeting and protest. Like, no one cares. And one, it's like, okay, if you say that and then 15 other people say that, yeah, okay, nothing is going to happen. But if you are like, I care about this, and this is part of that resistance, because what has been thrown at us is all the doom news, and then before that, it was the hyper productivity, the hustle culture, which, you know, we've been
Mm.
rejecting that. So it's a return to presence, because when you are present, you can start to make choices about where you direct your energy.
Because you're not living in the past or the future. You're like in a point of influence.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, and it doesn't have to be this big thing. Like maybe you don't have time or privilege to take a day off of work and go protest down at the state capitol, but you have time, you know, to make a phone call, to your city representative, even if it's not your state representative, your city representative. You have time to email. You have time to, it's amazing to me. One benefit of Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius is when just everyday people start sharing news stories, like that gets people's attention because they're like, oh, we tried to make this go away and it's not going away.
Yeah, that's my, like, I'm back on Instagram with not that active on it, but one of my favorite things that I've returned to is like just these videos of people at town hall meetings, and it's like usually young people. It's it's actually a lot of like young white men, who I'm like finally
they need to make themselves useful somehow.
I know, experiencing justice for the first time in their life, and it's like, but like, yeah, and no shade, I'm just joking, but like,
love them too. Just I'll get your brothers together. Come on,
we love all the people, but it's really cool to see, like, these town hall meetings happening, in Minnesota are making their way all the way around, and it's informing people. And my thing is always going to be also how you spend your dollars. Like, look up your local grocery stores and see where they have, who they're donating to. And spoiler, if it's Publix, don't go to them because they're not giving the money to very equitable causes. But just things like that. So it's I think people are really waking up, and it's kind of awesome. And it just sucks that shit had to get so bad for people to be like, wait. Do you watch, I don't know if anyone watches that Necessary Conversation podcast, and they're online. Yeah, and it's really interesting because it's basically two people and their MAGA parents, two brother and sister and their MAGA parents, and the mom has switched, and has said, like, I'm now seeing, and this is not a left versus right thing. It's her whole thing was, I don't like how I'm seeing people treat it, something that I didn't realize that I was, putting my energy and my support towards and voting towards. I didn't know that they were treating these, people in this way I didn't understand. And so, I don't want it to get to the like left is right, right is wrong, or whatever, because we need to move fucking beyond that. I saw a really great video the other day, and he was like, he's a comedian, and he was like, so if there's two parties, 50% of the country is like, we're just fucking them over. Like, so that'll be interesting to see if maybe like how political systems shift in response to all of this.
Yeah, and it's, the thing I cannot emphasize enough also is the like re-empowerment of ourselves. And I'm gonna give
sovereignty.
You like sovereignty. Well, like this one like funny example. So near my house, there's like kind of like just roads that sometimes people just like dump trash there. Yeah. And in the morning, I've started going out, and I have like my little road vest that's bright, so like people see me, and my little grabsy thing, and I pick up trash. And there was one day that this car stopped, and this older woman was like, are you doing volunteer hours for? And I forget what organization she says. Like, nope, I'm just out here. And but she kept asking if I was like with these, and I was like, no, I am just a human who got tired of looking at the trash on this road. And I was like, okay, instead of sitting and doom scrolling in the morning, I can go out and pick up some trash for, sometimes it's 20 minutes. Sometimes, it's longer, shorter, whatever. I'm not doing it for any kind of accolades. It's just like, I'm tired of looking at the trash.
Tara,
so I'm going to do it.
You're such an enigma. You always say these things you do, and I'm like, wow, you really are like out there living the truth. So maybe that's something we can all do, is like, what can we, if instead of scrolling or bitching,
right? And it's just
as I'm doing right now. So I apologize that I took it there, but like, remembering your personal power, and that does feel like a very of this. The Leo energy of the positive thing we're taking with it is, how can you be a leader in community and collective, and in the collective, how can you, use your expression to serve the collective?
Yes. And the one of the things that I'm hoping we all eventually take with us with South Node Leo is it's that concept of who are you when no one is watching.
Ooh, yeah.
Which I know right now it's kind of hard to not be watched with all the fucking flock cameras.
I know Alexa's watching me. I know my phone's watching me. I know.
I know. Phone's listening.
Got my rings everywhere. Yeah.
But that's the thing is like each of us taking back that small piece, that is going to propel us forward in that North Node Aquarius energy.
Yeah.
And
wow.
yeah. So this eclipse, like this month, it really kicks that off. And you know, it starts small, but you know, understanding the patterns and letting yourself flow with those patterns is in the energy is going to make this. It's gonna be the difference between getting washed down the river and you're like, you know, sopping wet and you're, you know, bashing against rocks versus at least you're on a raft. Like you're like, I lost my oars, but I'm on a raft.
Put on those, you know, the water skis and like, you know, I don't know, crack a drink, grab a margarita as you're just flowing down. I don't know. But yeah. So yeah, y'all. So this is basically, I don't know when people are listening to this, but this is kind of the big energy in August. And that's what we wanted to focus on because, as Tara said, that this is the energy that is kind of initiating the next 18 months. And so, as witches and mystics and curious folks, we have the ability to know what's coming and we can work with it. And so, do you have a way that you think that you would maybe a prompt you want to leave us with or something that we can really reflect on? And I will say, while you're thinking, I will distract everyone else. So make sure you're following Tara at Tara.Valkyrie on Instagram because she always posts really amazing tarot spreads for each of the new and full moons that have like deeper questions that you can really reflect upon. And eventually, I think that's going behind a paywall on Patreon. So you tell us when that is. But in the meantime, yeah, follow her there to make sure. But is there maybe something that you're like, okay, for all intents and purposes?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, one, it's the stepping into your sovereignty, and like baby steps, baby step into your sovereignty if that's what it takes. And then the other thing is trust your humanity, because I know we talked about intuition earlier. The other thing that I'm seeing also is unfortunately just the reality of the upheaval, the changes going on is as we are moving, you know, through the next few months. We've talked about this before. The old paradigm is crumbling. Unfortunately, one symptom of that is the old paradigm is grasping harder than ever before. And because we're in an eclipse portal, you know, the first round was around the Lunar New Year, around mid-February. That was, you know, around a time we had an uptick in violence by ICE agents against immigrants and American citizens. Just looking at patterns, there may be just an uptick in volatility. And within that, there's going to be like further kind of fear-based rhetoric. And it's so important, both in the individual work we're doing and then what's going on in the collective, that we stay connected and sovereign in our humanity, which is also very Leo and Pisces.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, such a beautiful message. Yes, y'all. Remember the dark feminine. I do think it's such a great asset. I'm gonna do a little shameless plug here, and I'll put the link in the show notes. But and I'm gonna let Tara shamelessly plug. But like, I am gonna be doing a dark feminine workshop at the end of the month. between the eclipses. So would love for y'all to join that. We're going to talk about different pathways, different initiations into the dark feminine. We're going to talk astrology. We're going to talk tarot. We're going to do a journey, a dark feminine journey. And so would love for y'all to join that. And then this is the work that we're going to be cultivating in the Threshold, which is our, new membership community that is launching in September. So I'm going to put those links in the show notes. Would love to have anyone who's being turned on by this, who wants to kind of dive deeper into the astrology and the esoteric and all of that, to join. And Tara, if someone's like, I want to know how the hell is this affecting me personally, can they book a reading with you?
They can totally book a reading with me. You can go to my Instagram. I've got a menu there in my bio where you can, schedule a reading. I've also got that on my Substack. I'm Tara Valkyrie there. My face is there, so I'm easy to find.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, all those are in the show notes, y'all. So, Tara, thank you so much for guiding us through this. I feel a lot more prepared. I feel a lot more hyped for, I love a good shakeup. So we got this.
Yeah.
Do you want to take us out?
I will. Love yourselves, love each other, and happy stargazing.
Happy stargazing. Thank you, Tara. Bye, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you for joining. Follow me on Instagram at crimson.minx and visit Esoerotic.com to learn to live more fully and unapologetically in your magnetic power, sensual pleasure, and unlimited creative potential.